Writing is a creative way of expression. When we read something, we feel the emotions poured by the writer. When we feel the emotions of the writer, we find ourselves connected somewhere, and that is actually what binds us to read. Now, the best quality of powerful writing is the emotions poured into it. We are seeing a reshaping of what it means to have a career in journalism today. The rise of the passion economy, increasing freelancing, more niche publications, and more fluid or more precarious employment are all creating new pathways to working in news media. In this episode, I, along with my next guest, will help you find that passion and the zing to write with creative passion, research, and law. But a very just voice, Tessy Koshy, who is a print and an online journalist with over 2 decades of writing experience that she has. She works across various journalist medias and she's written on several issues. She started her career in New Delhi, India, with an online news portal, moving on to work in newspapers and magazines before relocating to Dubai. Currently, she works as an independent journalist in Dubai, writing art, culture, and human interest stories. Hello, Tessy, and welcome to The Rags Show. Welcome to being here with us all at the Viewsal Network.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, Rags.
It's an absolute pleasure. So, Tessy, how did you actually become a journalist?
Well, the truth is quite by chance. I didn't really plan to become a journalist. It just happened for me. I was always someone who loved reading books. I loved the world of words. And I didn't want to do a 9-to-5 job. I wanted something which was exciting, something which would give me the opportunity to do something new every day. So I think I got all of that and much more in this field.
Amazing. You got lucky. And how? I was reading somewhere, Tessy, that you were also writing with the Gulf News and a few other publications from here within the United Arab Emirates.
Yeah.
Do you want to shed some light quickly before we take you further?
Well, I've been writing for Friday magazine, Gulf News, for about 10 years. And I also write for The National, for Arab News, for Indian publications. And I also have a art and culture blog.
Amazing. So you are the face, the Tessy Koshy, who's writing on Friday publications, and I have a lot of my friends and family who are following you, Tessy. Well done, and that's some great writing that you do.
Thank you so much.
My next question to you is, in this world, with the advent of TV, online channels, and social media, where do you think newspapers and print journalists stand today?
Well, really, we are honestly in choppy waters. It's not really smooth sailing for newspapers and print journalists. We are in a rocking boat, but we're not sinking, I would say that. Because like I always say, in schools, like how we see that they have introduced gadgets, and along with that, there are textbooks and paper and ink. They are still using their pens, so it's the same way. The joy of reading a real book is really different from reading something online or seeing something, so there is a population, there is a section of society which would continue to read your newspaper. And I think newspaper has a lot of honesty. Once it's gone to print,
yes.
It's there forever. So we bring that honesty because we know that we have to bring to the table what is the truth.
Absolute amazing. So let's just cut and say here, Tessy, that everything is fair when you sit to write. And when you write with, and I've read your writing, it's very fair, it's very just. You really nail it to how it is, you don't make it look glossy. Right, that's how you write. It's amazing, Tessy, the work that you do. Let's talk a little bit about content creators quickly now, moving onward. Now, in today's times, content creators is a big name. So how different is content creation from what a journalist actually writes?
Okay.
What is the difference between a content creator and a journalist?
We are all creating content, but the thing is that when you see or read something that a content creator has created, that is from one perspective, that is representing one aspect of a particular brand or a person. But we as a journalist, we have to bring all the perspectives together to give our readers a complete 360-degree view of a thing, So that is where journalism comes. We let our viewers read and understand different angles of a particular story.
Sure. Do you want to give us a small example? You know, I know exactly, we've spoken about this over a cup of coffee, Tessy. Do you want to give a very easy but a small example for our viewers about this, what you've just said?
So if you are representing, if there is an incident that has happened, if you know, a content creator will give you one angle of the story, if you know, but I as a journalist, I am you know, actually supposed to talk to both the parties who are involved in this. So, and if there is a health issue, I will also talk to a psychologist. And if there is if the government is involved, I'm supposed to get the government's views also in it. So I'm supposed to get all different views in the same content that I'm giving to the reader.
How interesting, how interesting. And when you're saying this, I can totally feel the verve of, you know, what we're talking about right now, because I think writing with honesty, Tessy, and writing with that fair and just point is something that we even, you know, we also want this to, we want it to carry on as a legacy, even for our future readers or future writers, let's just say. Nicely picked up this one. Now, let's talk a little bit about sensationalized news and stories, you know. How does any news become sensationalized? For the simple fact that, you know, ratings and readership will rise if people find a story interesting. This is what we know. Tessy, what's your take on sensationalism versus facts?
Well, there are many ways of looking at sensationalism. Like if I'm writing for a tabloid newspaper, you know, the way they play with the fonts, the way they highlight the, you know, the colors and the content, you know, on the top headlines, you know, that is a way of sensationalism to catch the attention of the reader. But actually the content might not be so sensational. The other way, online, a lot of online mediums are doing that. They're having clickbait headlines, you know, where the headline is something else, where they're just catching the attention of the reader to just go and click on the link. But actual content is very different. But a journalist is supposed to honestly do show and not tell. But the truth is that we are supposed to bring the facts together. We are supposed to present the story to you without giving our own views into the story and just report what has happened. So that's where we keep the facts intact and cut off the sensationalism.
And that is what people should do, right? That is what an avid writer actually must do.
A journalist.
A journalist, I think I loved what you said. The answer is so crystal clear that, you know, guys, just write what you feel and don't put any words. Let your audience decide. Let your readers decide. Now, you know, with this, I'm going to leave you with a small thought. Now, dance with the surface of the world. Let your thoughts lift you into creativity that is not hampered by an opinion. Keeping my opinions fair, just, and unbiased. We're actually talking about unbiased and realist journalism. This has been a very interesting episode, a very quick one, very witty. Thank you, Tessy, for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Now, in journalism, a human interest story is a feature story that discusses people or pets in an emotional way. Let's chat a little bit about its importance whilst we write, Tessy.
Well, I think I personally love writing human interest stories because I feel you really make a connect with your reader when you are sharing the personal story of someone. If I take an example, if there is a flood that has happened and you write about the flood, but when I write about a particular person who lost his home, or who was just going to move into a new home of his, and what went into his preparation and how he saw his life getting washed down, his dreams getting washed down, you know, that is a personal connect that people have, you know, when you read it. It's the same way when you write an inspirational story. It inspires people to do things. Sometimes you relate to these stories, sometimes you relate to the stories of these people. So I think a human interest story has many, many ways of winning hearts with people, touching those emotional chords in people. And I think they should be more and more written.
Do you write a lot of human interest stories?
Of course, I write many stories. I mean, that's one of the things that I really love to write.
I've read those. Can you tell us, can you recollect and tell me, which one do you think has really been your favorite so far? Which one stays with you? Anything that comes to your mind.
I think as I'm writing every day, my favorite is yet to come, but there are a few that I really have a soft corner for them. I think the first one happened when I was just just a year into my journalism career. I was working for a tabloid newspaper in New Delhi, and one evening we got a phone call from a lady from an orphanage. They had found a little baby abandoned in a polythene bag on the outskirts of the city, and dogs were mauling her, street dogs, and the police patrol had spotted this baby lying in a polythene, and they had taken her to the hospital. She was in the hospital for 10 days, and she had to get a skin grafting done, and she was handed over back to the orphanage. The orphanage wanted us to come and cover it, so we went and just visited the place, got the facts together, what happened, and we did the story. And I remember it was my page 1 story. It went on the first page, and the next day a bigger newspaper like Times of India picked up the story and also featured it.
Wow,
so
what a moment that should have been for you, Tessy.
Yeah, such a heart-touching story.
And such a heart-touching, it's so heartwarming, even as you say. Well done, Tessy.
Yes.
So viewers, this guest here sitting with me, sharing the screen, Tessy, does all this amazing work. Ooh, I have goosebumps.
In fact, I have another favorite story, if I can share it.
Yes, please. This is your podium. Go for it.
So my other favorite story happened a few years ago. Well, we interview so many people, but and of course we feel the empathy, we feel the emotions for them. But in this one, she was crying, and I was also having tears on the other end of the telephone, although she was speaking to me from the US. This story is about Jyoti Reddy. Jyoti Reddy was a farm laborer in Andhra Pradesh, where she earned 5 rupees per day. She had 2 little children to support. One day she was so frustrated she was going to commit suicide with her children in a well.
No.
And just then her daughter started crying, and she had a moment and she said that I can't do this. She changed and transformed her life. She studied, she went to the city, she managed to go to the US and start a multi-billion-dollar company employing 200 people.
What an inspiring story this is, and how empowering are you, Tessy? I'm so happy. Thank you for coming here one more time. Now, at the RAGS show, our team at the Vusel TV aims to match individuals with the desire to share their personal journey in a variety of forums with individuals who would like to learn from expertise that comes with varied, endless career opportunities and lived experiences. What do you enjoy the most, Tessy, about interviewing people?
Well, I love to have a good conversation. I love chatting with people. So this is like a real opportunity for me to share stories of theirs. I mean, and I'm so honored that people open their hearts and trust me to write their real life incidents and real experiences. So I'm someone who loves a good conversation. I can have a conversation at an airport lounge, to a bus stop.
I've seen that side of you, Tessy.
I think I'm lucky to do this.
Right. Yes. Now, my next question actually was to ask you a favorite story that you've already written, until now. And I think you've pretty much answered that one. Yeah. Would there be any other that you want to add?
There'll be lots and lots. But I think these are the 2 ones that will remain in my heart,
Definitely,
till now.
Yeah, and they were really priceless. Thank you for sharing them on my podium. Now, what is the future of journalism, and any new skills that you think they should be learning to step into the world? This is our Gen Zs of journalistic writing. What do you think they should know about journalism, the Gen Zs?
Well, come here only if you're passionate about this field. Don't come here because your mom and dad are telling you, or somebody else wants you to be here. Because this is the place to be for those who have the passion to be here, and come with less expectations and lots of patience, and don't come to change the world and those kind of notions.
Right.
And I think the skills that you need is that, of course, reading is great, be informed. Having if you're a youngster who wants to enter this field, writing a diary helps every day, The other thing is, of course, now we're seeing there's so much digital advent of things, you should also brush up your skills and learn how to make a video or edit it and make a podcast also, so because all those things are meshing in today,
Tessy, that's what we are doing, aren't we?
Yes,
yeah,
totally,
we're often doing this over a cup of tea and coffee between the 2 of us.
Yes.
We're like trying to, get up there.
Yeah.
But I think the Gen Zs are just too good.
Yes, totally, yes.
Well, viewers, what an interesting interview this has been. I'm going to leave you now with a 10-cent tip from RAGS to write about that personal experience or share about how a recent interaction with someone deeply that has moved you. Now that can really inspire someone, can't it? Writing about something like that can teach the reader something useful and give them an opportunity to connect with you. To me, that is what being a writer is all about, empowering others just like Tessy through your written words and allowing them to see who you are and what you stand for really. That's all from us today at The Rags. Until I see you another time, take care and be blessed.